Hello and welcome to my channel, The Feminine Frame. If you haven't been here before, my name is Natalie and we talk all things love, relationship, and yes, even the red pill and how it relates to us women. If you've spent any time in red pill spaces, you may have come across this term, frame. And frame is one of those things that can seem like a nebulous sort of concept. And people getting into the red pill sometimes have a hard time grasping what frame is because it's not always clearly defined. Today I'm going to attempt to define frame in very simple terms, and from there we're going to go forward and see how it relates to us. My definition for frame is the internal structure by which you live your life. These are your values, your desires, your belief, and your life's mission come together, and they govern how you make decisions and interact with the world. Now, you are going to notice that I don't tell you what your frame should be, because everybody's frame is going to be different. What you value, what you desire, what you believe, and how you want those things to kind of influence the world is going to be different from every other person out there. It's your frame, it's nobody else's. Now there are a couple of different analogies that I like to use when talking about frame. My first analogy is your perception of the world can be visualized as a picture frame. You're inside your frame, peering out. Now your frame could be very strong, like one of the artistic masterpieces of the world, and people are attracted to you and they gather around you and they want to see you and they want to get to know you. Or it could be that your frame is weak and cracked and the world spills in and it smudges and chips away at your paint. So how do we tell which one are you? Are you the first frame? Are you one of these artistic masterpieces? Or are you a picture that's deteriorating and in poor repair? Is your frame weak or is it strong? So here are some ways that you can tell if your frame is weak. Are you constantly plagued by conflicting values and internal conflict? Do you find yourself betraying your values and beliefs due to societal or familial pressure? Do you find yourself buckling frequently to peer pressure? Are you afraid to pursue your passions and dreams? Maybe you're just generally ruled by fear. Do you even know what you believe? And if you do, are you willing to take a stand for those beliefs? Are you willing to stand by your beliefs? Do you have goals and direction in your life, or do you just tend to wander aimlessly? If you found yourself frequently relating to these questions, then that could be an indicator that your frame has lots of room for improvement. Your frame is not going to be strong if you don't know who you are or if you're unwilling to stand up for yourself and take action. If you are a single woman, then you will want to look out for these symptoms in the men that you're dating. Now, all men are going to be tested at times, but if you notice any of these tendencies habitually, then it could be an indicator that this man is not going to be a good leader for you. Now let's move on to a strong frame. If weakness of mind and weakness of action indicate a weak frame, then naturally strength of mind and action will indicate a strong frame. So here are some signs of a strong frame. You know what you believe. Your thoughts and your actions align with those beliefs. You know what you value, and you're not willing to deviate from those values. You have a mission in your life, and you're always making strides towards those ends. You take action and make decisions that align with your values and missions, and you do this even when you feel fear. You value yourself and demand the respect of others. You have strong boundaries with those who disrespect you or seek to take advantage of you. And maybe some of your views are a little bit polarizing, but you still draw in people who share your mission and they look to you as a leader. You control your thoughts and emotions, and they do not control you. You are working to develop habits of discipline and dedication in your daily life. And you have perhaps a confident, reassuring, or energizing vibe to others. If you find yourself identifying more with these than our previous list, then your frame is probably in pretty good shape. You still might notice some weak points to be improved upon, however. Ladies, be on the lookout for these signs from men in your dating pool. And these are the men that you are going to want to pursue relationships with. And only pursue relationships with those men whose frame is aligned with your own values and belief. Now, when we're talking red pill, frame is typically viewed as a more masculine concept. Women are, by necessity, a little bit more fluid. And it's also true that maybe in the past, having a strong frame for a woman wasn't necessarily so important. Now, I know that we've heard all the time about people in our grandparents' generation or great-grandparents' generation who would meet and then 2 weeks later they would be married. And they had a wonderful, happily ever after, stuff dreams are made of type marriage. When our grandparents and great-grandparents were dating, the world was a lot smaller. It is likely that they would have been from the same town or nearby town. They would have gone to the same church or a very similar church. They would have shared similar politics. They would have looked similar and acted similar. What's more is they would be known by others in the community who would have kind of garnered an accurate reputation as to who they were. This made it a lot easier to vet for a marriage partner. All of that hard vetting work was already done. They knew that they shared the same values. They knew that they had similar life goals. They knew that they shared politics. They just had to figure out if they liked each other. Now, life is a lot different than it was then. Life is bigger than it has ever been. With the internet, we have the world at our fingertips. Never before have we had the possibility of so many different worldviews all available in the same geographic location. This presents a unique problem in finding potential long-term partners. This is complicated because our most common resources for finding men are dating apps and bars. These men are strangers. We have none of the safeguards that former generations enjoyed when selecting a partner. He could believe anything. He could have any political beliefs. He could have any religious beliefs, any worldview. You have to start from ground zero when you are vetting. This is why it is more important than ever for a woman to develop a frame of her own. You need to know who you are before you can make wise decisions in selecting a man. You need to select a man who shares similar beliefs, values, and religion to your own. You will also want to make sure that you are able to support his personal mission. You cannot do this if you do not know yourself. So what does a more feminine frame look like? Well, in a lot of ways, a woman's frame is going to look a lot like a man's frame. It's still going to be based upon what she believes, values, and desires for her life. A woman still needs to build strength of character and integrity. She still needs to know what she would like to achieve during her life. Where a woman's frame might differ from a man's frame is that men and women often have different goals and ambitions. Men's missions are more often chasing careers, esteem, and monetary achievements. Although women can still have those sorts of goals, many women have goals that are more relationship-oriented. And this can be an amazing complement to a man's frame. Suppose that you have a man and a woman who have similar values and beliefs. The woman has goals that are more oriented towards her relationship with her husband and raising children. In this situation, there's little conflict arising in how to raise the children because they share that belief system. The woman might also, in this case, be willing to make sacrifices to help her husband achieve his mission. These might include things like moving to a new area, becoming frugal, helping him with small tasks for his business, and bolstering his spirits when he is low. In a case like this, which is a very common case, both the man and woman get to be fulfilled. He gets to build something outside of himself while also raising a family with a partner that he loves and trusts. And she gets to do that knowing that she is provided for. Now, if you do have goals surrounding a career of your own, just make sure that you look for a man with whom those goals are going to be harmonious. And the same is going to go for any other hobbies or ambitions you have that are truly important to you. When we're talking about a feminine frame, it so far has seemed very idyllic. Both the man and the woman are working in perfect harmony together. But when we get right down to it and are practical, there are going to be times that heads butt and disagreements arise. Who wins? In all likelihood, the person with the stronger frame is going to come out on top. My second analogy that I like to use when thinking about frame. I like to think of masculine and feminine frame interacting as a sort of ballroom dance. In a ballroom, a dancer's frame is how they hold their bodies and communicate movement to their partner. Both the man and the woman need a strong frame when dancing. Now, the man takes responsibility for the dance. If his frame fails, his partner's frame is going to fail. He has to make decisions about what moves to make and where to move on the dance floor. It's also his responsibility to make sure that they don't run into other pairs. He has to make sure that his instructions are clear and that the moves he chooses are within his partner's skill level. Now, because he takes on this level of responsibility, he is also entitled to take the lead. He chooses the moves and the direction. Now, even though the man is the lead, that does not mean that the woman's frame is also not important. The woman's body in a ballroom dance fits inside the man's frame, but she holds herself up. She does not allow her posture to fall and weigh her partner down. She allows the man to lead and is carefully attuned to the instructions he's passing on. She acts immediately on his direction, and she doesn't allow her toes to become stumbling blocks. In return, the lead will give her times where she gets to show off her moves and really flourish and sparkle. If a man's frame is weak and unconfident, then the dance will become sloppy and boring. If the woman fails to follow instructions or tries to take the lead, then the dance becomes this halting, stumbling, awkward affair. A ballroom dancer takes careful consideration when picking a partner for a competition. They're going to consider dedication and availability, skill level, chemistry, style, and ability to take and give instructions. When choosing a marriage partner, you need to be all the more aware. If you want to be married, do not date just for fun. Date with the end goal in mind. Of course, you should be having fun when you're dating, but a lot of women run into trouble because they date just to have fun and they don't consider compatibility. And what ends up happening is they fall in love with somebody who is incompatible. And once they're in love, they have a very, very hard time emotionally breaking things off. And so they just stay with the wrong man. And that leads to a lot of heartbreak for both parties down the road. You're going to want to find out early on what his goals are and what his timeline is before you get into a committed relationship with a man. Now, I'm not saying that you need to drill a man on your first date, but before you jump into commitment with a man, it is best if you have a general idea of things like his timeline. Does he want to get married? Does he want to have children? Does he want to have his wife staying at home? How important is his religion to him? How important are his politics? Things like this. So don't drill him on the first date, but get to know those things before you become committed to a man. You are going to want to watch the actions of men that you date to see if they align with who he says he is. Remember that your frame is going to need to nest nicely within his. You're trying to find a man who shares core values and who you trust to make wise decisions when conflicts inevitably arise. If you do find yourself dating a man who is incompatible with your life goals and mission, then you should break things off before you become even more emotionally enmeshed. Many of you may already know what your core values, desires, beliefs, and mission are. That is fantastic. But for some of you, this may be something that you never even considered. Now, I cannot tell you who you should be. This is going to take a little soul searching on your part. Take stock of what you already know about yourself. What do you already know and believe? What lines are you never going to cross? It could also be helpful to you to look at where you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Think about the people that you admire and what is it about these people that draws you to them. Think about who you surround yourself with. Are these people a reflection of the person that you want to become? Is there something that would make your life worthwhile? When you have a clear idea of who you are and where you're going, making decisions and knowing who to date is going to become so much clearer. And if you develop this strong frame, it is ultimately going to lead to a much happier and stronger marriage. Thank you so much for stopping by. I can't wait to see you here on this channel again.